All right, everyone. So I did want to talk about the Oakland, the city of Oakland sports. They don't have a professional team anymore, at least not in the Big Four. They have a USL team called the Roots, and they play at the Coliseum, and that's going to be the only use for the Coliseum. And it's going to be, and it would have been a shame had they, brought it down and just annihilated it. I think that the fact that, they kept it so long, you kind of can't just destroy it. It's been around since 1968. They, the athletics were rooted in Oakland for so long, and like nearly half of their history since 1968. Then you do the math, and for 66 years they stayed there. They stayed there. They did what they had to do there, and now genuinely, they're not the first team in Oakland because technically the Seals were the first team in Oakland, or if I'm getting that right, was the first big sports team in Oakland. I'm pretty sure it was the Seals. I'm going to verify that in a moment. But the A's were screwed out of everything. I genuinely believe the A's got screwed through everything. They won the 1989 World Series against the San Francisco Giants, and well, they won it because they had Ricky Henderson mostly and Dave Stewart, and you know looking back on that series, it was like you look at the stadiums, the Coliseum was still better than Candlestick, and Candlestick, wind blows in mostly, prevents you from hitting home runs, but the A's still got it done. I think the problem with the Coliseum was that the Dodgers. No, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself here. I think the problem is that it was not built like Dodger Stadium. This Dodger Stadium was a baseball-specific park. It could work for baseball. It was, the sight lines were great, even for 1962. But now the A's came in '68. They could have built it specifically for the Athletics, but they wanted to attract the Raiders at the time to come, and eventually they did. And the Raiders, oddly enough, almost moved to Sacramento with the Giants. So it's kind of crazy though. But I think had the Oakland Coliseum been a baseball specific park, it even just had the same dimensions as Dodger Stadium. They certainly would be staying, and they would have renovated it and done all the things and had the video electronic boards and all of that ready to go, and Oakland wouldn't have gone without a baseball team. But now they did. And mostly it's because John Fisher doesn't want to pay for rent out the Coliseum. And now he's at the Sacramento City River Cats Stadium, Sutter Health Park, and it's a shame too. It's really a shame that Oakland doesn't have a team anymore. And they are the first city to have this happen, because at one point they had all four sports teams. They had a sports team in all of the Big Four leagues at one point. Not necessarily simultaneously, but at one point. They had the NHL Seals. They got merged with the Barons and the North Stars, and now there's some weird combination, and now they're the Dallas Stars. Warriors moved back to San Francisco. So there was that. Raiders moved to Las Vegas, and now the A's are making their slow move to Las Vegas. It's definitely a shame when you think about everything that they've been through. You have seen 4 World Series out of the Coliseum plus 3 Super Bowls. And so you can't just destroy the Coliseum. You just can't. Especially everything that's happened has the soccer games, and potentially cricket too. If they could renovate this stadium and host international cricket events, they could certainly use this. But you're gonna really need to go maintain that. You're really gonna need to go maintain that stadium too. And I don't know if that dirt infield, on the field, the warning track and that old baseball diamond is still gonna even be around. But you're gonna have to clean that up and renovate the Coliseum if you're gonna use it for cricket. Um, you know, the people of Oakland did deserve better. They sold out, and they at least won against the Texas Rangers in the final game. There's that. The Seals did not, deserved better. They had manager, they had owner Charlie Finley, who actually owned the A's, and he made the players put white paint on their skates, whenever there were puck marks that marked it. But it's like, you're supposed to get puck marks. The puck is supposed to hit your skates at times. But and then Charlie Finley, like, that's going to put more weight, and you're going to be slower on the ice too. So it really didn't make sense at the time, and I think just not having black skates or the traditional colors or just gold skates or whatever, it was very stupid, and they looked more like figure skaters at the time, and that kind of warped people's understanding of the game and their perception of the game of hockey. And as a guy who talks hockey, this was a bit of a setback for everything, and then they eventually move. The Seals only made the playoffs twice in their history, and they wouldn't come, and there would not be there wouldn't be another hockey team until 1991, which, San Jose Sharks had much more success. They at least made it to the 2016 Stanley Cup Finals, but they lost. And and Joe Pavelski is one of the few people to not to play 200 playoff games and not win a Stanley Cup. I think he's played the most and never won a Stanley Cup, and he certainly could have won it with the Stars, but life happens. I want the San Jose Sharks to succeed. I think the Bay Area needs a Stanley Cup. It's been too long. I hope that Will Smith and Macklin Celebrini win it, but, one can only hope. The Warriors won in Oakland. They had their dominance in Oakland. People forget that too. The four finals appearances, their 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. I think they had their dominance and then gone too, but they had a dynasty for a little while. All that was in Oakland, and now it's gone too. So, and the city of Oakland has won more championships than most cities have even appeared in. I think they've even appeared in more. Baltimore's appeared in some, but of their respective championships, but I'm not too sure at the moment. But to go into the World Series, in the early 70s and win, 71, 72, 73, then I think 74, 75 were the Reds, 70, or maybe I get that wrong, 72, 71. No, 70 was the Orioles, but I forgot who won 71. Slips my mind though, but they had their dominance in the 70s. They had the they had the Raiders in the 70s. They had the Raiders again in the 80s, and then in 1989 the A's won again. Then nothing, pretty quiet in Oakland, and then Warriors win, sort of thing. They win, and and then just to lose it all to other cities or your neighbors or the city that's 1,000 miles away. It's really a shame too, and it's kind of and and if only they had built out that stadium in San Jose. I do think that the Raiders could have stayed in Oakland at least. They could have built a new stadium or they could have renovated it, but we'll never know. And I don't know if Oakland could have kept the Warriors or if that was just all them just gonna go and move. I really do think that that you know that the Seals were sort of the first indication that this is not us, this is not for us, but we'll try again. We'll try again, and then the Bay Area did get the Sharks, and the Bay Area has been very successful with its championships. Giants won it again. Raiders, A's, Warriors won it. The Niners won it back in like 1989. I think they won their Super Bowl. So a lot has definitely happened with the Bay Area. And the Bay Area is a great sports town area, sort of. The San Jose, even Oakland still, some of them will root for the A's, but most don't. And I do think that it does hurt the game whenever you have a team relocate when that has built such a large fan base too. I do hope that Oakland can get a baseball team back. I think they would love it, and most people never got to experience the Coliseum. And yes, it's a dump, but I mean during its heyday, it was special, and we'll probably never see another. We'll not have another dual-use sports stadium ever again. We're not going to have it, too. And it's a shame that, John Fisher's, using Sacramento and not spending the rest of the time in Oakland, too, to have the A's. And they're not even... The worst part about the Athletics is that they don't even have... They're not even the Sacramento A's. They're not... They should be playing 3 seasons as the Sacramento A's. And Sacramento doesn't even have a proper introduction to MLB. And this... I definitely didn't want to cover this in the audiobook that I did because, you're playing at a AAA facility. It's supposed to be an MLB stadium. I covered Oakland. I'm not covering Sacramento, even though I did cover the Tampa Tarpons Stadium in my book, but that the only exception to that was that the Rays had been, the Rays had a hurricane. They had to do it because of the inclement weather. Excuse me. But I want Oakland to get another shot because this is the city that had, the Raiders dominate. The brand of the Raiders travels well. The A's had a dynasty. Other than the Yankees, they were the only other team to win it 3 times in a row. And Reds came close, though. Never happened, though. So there's that. Warriors again won it, won the NBA championship, had that dynasty in the late 2010s, early as well. And the Seals just didn't get a proper introduction because of probably bad management, and in the Bay Area didn't get a proper introduction to hockey until the Sharks came around. So took a while. Took them nearly a quarter century to get it right, but when they did, and that's the most important part. Oakland, if Oakland does want to get another professional Big Four sports team back, they do. You have to build out another facility. Again, I do think maybe you could try to get the Warriors back, but they're probably not coming back. And the Sharks, it doesn't make sense for them to move because they are the San Jose Sharks, not the Oakland Sharks. That's going to be weird. They've got their arena. It's much better than the one in Oakland. And I think you should try and get another football team back, personally, if you're going to get anything. So that's my thoughts on Oakland. Always losing out to the big brother San Francisco. But had the A's moved to San Jose, and been there, which they almost did, and had that happen, had San Francisco not blocked that, I think that they could have won the. They would have just stayed in San Jose. They would have been the San Jose A's, and they would have just stayed there. And since 2013, in 2013 could have been their time. But now an opinion of my dad's is that it could have been that the A's should have torn down the Coliseum in '91. And absolutely, they should have torn it down. They should have built up Howard Terminal. Never got an opportunity to do that, and it's a shame that the A's have to go, but that's business and that's baseball. If you like what I had to say here, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Peace out.